class. Okay, boys and girls, so we're going to move on. So this whole last week, can anybody remind me what we've been working on? Yes, that's right. So matter, we've been working how matter is a substance that is found, or something that is found in all things, and that it can be found in 3 different forms. Can anybody can anybody tell me what the 3 different forms are? Yes, a liquid, solid, and a gas. So it can be found in it can take any of these 3 different forms. So what we will be working on to cover standards 2 PS1-4 in matter and its interactions, we're going to be working to build an argument to find evidence on why some changes caused by heating or cooling can be reversed and when they cannot. We will be working a little bit more on the writing and the evidence and the argument when we hit our writing. Right now, I kind of just want us to get an idea and to kind of do this mini little activity to help us kind of build so we are able to cover that standard. So the first thing that we're gonna do, boys and girls, I want you guys to think of I'm gonna use food because we're always we're always hungry, we're always talking about food. So if we think about for example, majority of you guys bring a water bottle to school, right? So what's in the bottle? Water, right? And we know that there is matter in there in the form of a liquid. Yes, it's a form of a liquid. So then and the liquid takes the form of whatever container it's in, correct? Yeah, so then what would happen though, especially when it's really hot and you want something refreshing, what do most of us do with the water bottle? Yes, we put it in the freezer. And why do we put it in the freezer or in the refrigerator? Yes, so it can get cool, right? So let me ask you this. Once it's in there, is it still water or what does it turn into? Yeah, correct. So most of the time, sorry. So we have our water bottle. I'm sorry, boys and girls, I got my cards mixed. So we have our water bottle, and if we put it in the freezer, we have it becomes ice, right? Or ice cubes. Now, what happens to these ice cubes? Are they no longer water because they're ice cubes? Yeah, so what happens if a little bit of heat, or if we add since we have ice cubes as a picture, what happens if I were to add them in my cup of water? Most of the time it'll melt, right? It'll melt and it'll go back to its original state, which is a liquid form, right? It'll go back to it being water. So would you say that the properties are still, so yeah, so we still have water, right? So what would be another thing? Think about in the kitchen when you guys go in and mom's cooking, she adds water, let's say she's making rice. What happens? You see a lot of steam. Yeah, you see a lot of steam. So pretty much that is still water in there, but that water is evaporating. It's evaporating, right? So do we still have that water? Think about it. Okay, so we have that. But then, so that is something that can go back to its original state, right? Like the ice and the water, from freezing, because it went through that cooling point. Okay, so now what happens if I get something different? For example, for breakfast, most of us sometimes have eggs, right? So what happens if an egg undergoes heat? Can anybody think about it? Yeah, so it can undergo heat in different ways. One, we can have some yummy scrambled eggs. Now, what happens with these scrambled eggs? Can it be like the ice cube that if I melt, it goes back to water? No, right? So this will stay like this. So we cannot do anything to change it to go back to the original state of it being a hard egg. What about this? Like a boiled egg, right? Yeah, it is a boiled egg. It could also be a boiled egg. So if we have boiled eggs, can we do something to it? We put heat in it and go back to an original egg? Or can we cool it and it goes back to its original state? We can't, right? Once it's like that, it is like that, and we can no longer change it. So I want you to talk to your partners. We'll do a think and pair share. So first, I want you guys to think, is there anything else that you can think of that can undergo heat or cool and go back to its original state? Or is there anything that you can think of that might not go back to its original state? I want you to think about it, hold it, and then now I want you to share with your shoulder partner. Share with your shoulder partner what you have come up with. First the A's, then my B's, and then we'll talk about it as a class, okay? So I'll give you guys a couple seconds for that. Okay, I hear some of you talking about butter, yes. Some of you are still bringing up the ice cubes. That is good. Okay, so now, class. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what you guys discussed within each other. So I did hear some of you guys bringing up butter. Good. So now can you guys show me with your fingers how many states of matter? How are they found? Is there 1 way, 2 ways, 3 ways, 4 ways? Okay, show me fingers. Okay, that way I can kind of have an idea. So now let me ask real quick. Would water, if it undergoes heating, would it go back to water? Go ahead and stand up if you think so. Go ahead and stay sitting down if not. Okay, so what if I heat up water? Would it still, if I steam it, will it still be water? Stand up if yes, sit down if no. Okay, good. Now, what about the eggs? If I heat it, would it go back to its original state? If it's a boiled egg, stand up if yes, sit down if no. Nice. And what about some scrambled eggs? Stand up if yes, sit down if no. Okay, good. Okay, so we will be working on this to continue to build in order so we can write and build an argument on why we think and see if we can find some evidence using our Chromebooks on why we think if they what causes this change, the heating and the cooling, and why some things just cannot be reversed. So that's what we'll be continuing to work today. Okay, boys and girls?